above 15 years old, where were you? Which I was only 4 or 5 years old, something like that. They're going to say, where were you when Kennedy shot? And they'll say, well, I was right in an ice cream parlor and it came across the radio, or I was sitting at the traffic light of 4 and Derringer at a stoplight when it came across the radio. You're going to remember. So here you go. The earth is flat. The earth is a disk. It is not a planet. It is not a ball. It's a flat disk surrounded by Antarctica. There's only one place that points north, and it's where the magnetite. It's a great iron mountain at the top of the North Pole. It's why your compass points north. You go out in any 360 direction, and you're going to hit a wall of ice of 2 miles. You can Google the images. They call it Antarctica. Antarctica goes on and on all around this disk. So, you don't believe me, and of course you won't. Do you know we have absolutely zero pictures of the Earth from space? Did you know that? Every single picture that you think that you see of Earth from space is either a composite or it's a drawing. There is no real-time footage of a satellite taking pictures of the Earth. This is fact. There are none. Most of the time, the picture that you get in your head of a beautiful blue ball jewel, which we call Earth, that is a composite that came from, quote-unquote, the Apollo space mission, 14 or whatever, when they put that across there. No moon landings. All faked. Let's go again. Let's keep going. Somebody from Australia, which is on the bottom of the globe. What stars do you see? If the Earth is a flat disk-like object, or what I should say, if it's a globe, the North Star is right above the North Pole. You can do a time-lapse photography of the stars in the heavens from dusk to dawn. So you set your camera up and you point it to exactly at the polar star, the North Star. And then you speed it up. Then you make it wide, and you will see all of those constellations go around in a completely 360-degree circle if you're on the North Pole. Well, if you're in Australia, or South Africa, or Argentina, what are you going to see if you do the same thing? You're going to see exactly the same thing, same constellations, same North Star that you see in the north. You're going to see the same time lapse. How is that possible? You would think the people on top of the planet could look out and see so many constellations, and the people below the planet look out and see some of their own constellations that we can't see because the Earth is blocking us. No, we all see the same constellations. You think the sun is 93 million miles away from Earth? No. No. The sun is probably as big as the moon. The sun is probably not more than 400 miles from the Earth. It rotates around. Once you start doing this research, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The Earth, the ball, the planet, spins at 1,000 miles an hour, right? Sure it does. Sure it does. I mean, 24 hours in a day, it's about 25,000 miles in circumference, 8,000 miles wide. So, goes around the sun, spins around, makes one complete rotation in 24 hours. So that means it's moving about 1,000 miles an hour, right? Why do most flights go over the North Pole? Because it's the quickest way. It is the center of this disk. The magnetic North Pole, the North Pole is the center of this spherical, circular, flat disk-like plane. If you take a plane and you go from LA nonstop and you fly to Tokyo, which let's just say, give or take, it's on the same latitude line. So if you take a plane and you were to fly to Tokyo, okay, you're going with, because the planet is rotating at 1,000 miles an hour, so you're going with the flow of the planet. Well, so let's say it takes you 10 hours to go from LA to Tokyo, and you're pretty much cruising along as the planet is turning 1,000 miles an hour. So if you take a plane from Tokyo and fly against the way the Earth is turning, will it take you an extra 5 hours? Because you are going against it? No. It will take you 10 hours. The Earth is not spinning 1,000 miles an hour. No matter which way you cut any type of travel of the plane, any kind of connections, you will see that's not true. GPS is military GPS. This whole world has been designed and set up to trick you. The satellite images that we got, zillions and zillions and zillions of satellites all throughout the heavens, all around our Earth, space junk everywhere. Oh, really? Oh, is that right? So, when you take a look at, let's say, the space station, what do you see? You see satellites everywhere? Oh, really? Really? Oh, you say, well, you can look up and sometimes you can see satellites. Now, at night, we're cruising along, or you can see the space station. Well, a satellite's about as big as a school bus. Well, last I remembered, once the plane got up to like 35,000 feet, you could see the chemtrails coming out of the plane, but you couldn't see that plane. And I think a plane's pretty much bigger than a bus, which would be the size of a satellite, 50 miles up or 55 miles up or whatever they want to make up these numbers. It's all made up. It's all fake. Curvature of the Earth. Oh, you say the Earth is curved. So for every 6 miles, the Earth has a curvature of 16 feet. Oh, really? Oh, is that right? Who told you that? So, if you stand on the beach and you watch a ship go out, it gets smaller, smaller, till you can't even see it. It's gone. It's the curvature of the earth, right? The thing is 25 miles out or whatever, and finally the curvature of the earth ate it up. Oh, really? Oh, is that right? Well, if I were to tell you all you got to do is pick a telescope up and point it, that you would start seeing the ship again. Wow. Wow, unbelievable. So much for that curvature. That really worked out. Well, let's keep pushing the curvature. There's a mountain like in Pennsylvania in which they can see, you can see 60 miles. They can see 60 miles the skyline of Philadelphia. 60 miles. When you take a look at the buildings, are the buildings kind of bent back or bent to one way because of the curvature of the earth out of those 60 miles? No. Straight up. Same with a lighthouse in which, and they've done tests on this, by the way. They've actually set up cameras on the beaches, just a couple feet off the water's edge, and actually lined up and seen how far they could see the curvature of the earth. It's been disproven. So let's keep disproving that. Go to some of the highest point. Okay, you're flying an airplane. When you take a look out, I can see, I'm way up in the sky. I can see the curvature of the earth. Oh, really? Really? Well, a plane goes up, about 30,000, 35,000 feet? You're looking through a window. It bends it. So let's work off something else. So this guy gets in this balloon and he goes, I'm going to make the biggest skydive jump in all of history. I'm going to go up as far as I can go. And so he takes his GoPro, puts it on his helmet, takes the balloon. He doesn't go just 35,000 feet. He doesn't go 50. He doesn't go 75,000 feet in the air. He goes 139,000 feet with his GoPro. And then he makes his jump. Well, as he gets up, you take a look, and you go, see? He's way up there, 4 times the amount of an airplane. And look at his GoPro. You can tell that the Earth is curved. Wrong. It's called a fisheye lens. Oh, yeah. Now, you take the other guy with the other type of lens and camera, who's done this already, and he's taken a balloon and hooked it up to this camera. And he took it up to like 120,000 or 30,000. What did he see? No curvature of the earth. Flat. All over the place, you can see it's flat. It's level all the way. No curvature. Let's keep going. Oh, there's so many things once you realize we've really been hoodwinked. It's late at night, so I'm going back into my memory. You'll research it. If you're intellectually honest, you'll see they've been hiding it. So, you would think there's a lot of stuff in the Bible that would talk about the earth being a planet. But you don't. You run into the 4 corners and the 4 winds, and the earth is a footstool of the Lord's feet, and you can go over the whole thing. But you're basically in for a very, very rude awakening. A very rude awakening. And So everybody pretty much 500 years ago, before the year 10666, Copernicus, the Jesuit, he's the one that came up with, you see, ships were getting really good. They were really getting good at making ships. And they believed in the flat earth. And so
I'm still broadcasting video.
They basically could scare enough of the people that if you take your ship out too far, you could fall off the earth. You know, that was working okay, but the ships were really getting good, and the guys had a lot of guts, and people kept pushing out more and more, and the model had to be changed. Because just knowing human beings, if you're going to tell people that you're talking a flat earth, and there's an edge somewhere out there, and you can explore all the way to that edge, you know, knowing human beings, they're going to go look. They're going to push it as far as they can push it. And so how do you trap them? How do you put a fence around them to keep human beings contained? Well, you tell them they're on a ball. There's no way off this ball. And once you go so far in this circular flat disk we call Earth, that you eventually run into massive ice sheets, because then it's the way we're like in a puddle or a little swamp. So let's get back to the plane analogy. You ever notice that when you want to make a certain flight that you think is pretty direct, that you got to go to weird places? Oh, no, you got to go to Heathrow Airport. Then we can do a non-stop flight to South Africa. We're just not going to take you from Florida and fly from Florida to South Africa across the ocean like that. We're not going to do it like that. You're going to have to go this way or that way. Where have you noticed in non-stop flights, they still land and refuel. Nobody gets off. You land in an nondescript airport. Usually it's at night. And get refueled and take off again. But if you want to go, you don't go direct. Just take a look. So all those little planes going around, the airplane marker, whatever, once you pretty much get below the equator, those planes disappear off that map. Once it gets about 100 miles away from the perspective of the shoreline, it stops. Ships, you would think, well, it would only take such and such length of time to go from Australia all the way across the planet to, if it's flat Earth, Brazil, Peru. Look how much time it takes. Yeah, you've been lied to. Almost about everything. So, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of things that debunks that you're on a planet. The best that we can see now with this extra information is that we're on a disk. How deep it goes, I don't know. They know it goes down a few hundred miles. Then you hit...
Got that going. You should be able to hear this shit momentarily. Here it comes.
Okay, hang on, folks. Seth, are you there?
No need to hang on. I am here. How are you doing, Hijacker?
Okay, wow. I was able to resurrect you from my massive graveyard of dead contacts, so go ahead.
I've got one of those. I also have one of those. Yeah, no, I would just figure, I heard you talking all by yourself about the Earth being flat. Is that correct? Flat disk? Did I lose you? I had you there for a moment.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Seth. I muted. But no, the Earth, the sun's not 93 million miles away. It's a lot closer than you think. That's why you see sometimes when it's behind the clouds, the sun's rays will go in all different directions. Where if it was 93 million miles away, it was all pretty much hit head on, and it wouldn't be spidering all over the place. So people have already done the measurements, the way your shadow goes down at the end, that you can see the sun in the sunset, you can see it actually go down thousands of miles across the ocean, and the ocean is still level. And you can see the sun actually just drop down. You can actually see the level ocean right through the orange sun. So they picked this apart. Everybody's ganging it now. We're all about to wake up about our true reality. And so really it's getting real dangerous right now. And that's why they're pushing for this World War III. All of the top leaders know it. Putin knows what the deal is. Everybody knows it.
This would be like number 5, right? World War. I know they call it World War I and World War II, but I mean realistically, we're talking about like historically accurate. This would be like at least number 5 or number 6, right?
Oh yeah. Well, you go in history. They've had the 30 Years' War of the known world. They had 100 Years' War between France and Britain. That's all these people have done with us. Just nothing but make us slaves and paupers, and just wars and. These Canaanites of this bloodline are rapacious, and they just kill each other and fight for power and money.
Canaanites, like when you say Canaanites, who exactly do you mean? Like, do you mean like the descendants of the people that lived in Canaan? Or are you confusing that with?
Right. No.
Are you confusing the Canaanites with the descendants of Cain?
Descendants of Cain. I'm talking about a bloodline.
Yeah, those are two different things. The Canaanites are the people that inhabited the land of Canaan, and then the descendants of Cain would be something different.
No, they would be the descendants. That's why they're called Canaanites.
No. Canaan and the descendants of Cain. Those are different things.
Well, I know you say they're called Canaanites because they lived in the land of Cain.
Canaan.
Canaan. Because they live in the land of Canaan. What I'm saying is, no, the land of Canaan is named.
No. I know they sound similar, but I'm telling you, those are different things. The inhabitants of the land of the Canaanites are Canaanites, right? Not the descendants of Cain. That's something else entirely.
Well, no, it would only make sense because of the name, Seth. I mean, it's like
in English, but those aren't English names.
Well, I know they're not. I know, but I'm saying is that who made up the language? I mean, who wrote the history? I mean, come on, we don't know what happened. You can say no. The Canaanites.
Scribes and clerics generally is what we'd call the people that wrote the history that we have. Albeit we're living in a time that is the history is history books are printed by corporations, and corporations their actions are dictated just as everyday citizens and government. Now all of that, it's all dictated by lawyers.
Right.
So
were the scribes and the Pharisees and the monks and the priests who dictated all this stuff? Who were they?
Well, by that statement, some of them were obviously monks and Pharisees.
Yeah, but you didn't get in that club. You weren't part of the priesthood if you weren't part of that Canaanite seed line bloodline. You just didn't, unless you had mixed genetics with the fallen ones and you were their offspring. you were part of that group.
Right, that'd be one of the three races, right? Right, us, them, and then us and them, right? I got you.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So we don't know who wrote what. We don't know what they put in the Bible, what they took.
To a point, there are a lot of really old manuscripts that will date the scriptures back, as far as old documents go. We have, the older copies that we find of the scriptures, like such as the Dead Sea Scrolls and things like that, the reason a lot of that has been slow in coming out is because essentially what it does is confirm that in the languages of preservation, such as Hebrew and Greek, the texts that we have available to us are actually relatively accurate. It's the unfortunate translations from those languages into all of the other languages where you get the misinterpretations, the essentially detrimental fallacies in the translation and the changing of words. And then not only do you have mistranslation to deal with, but you also have the constant advent of colloquial speech and the changing of the meaning of words, to where although this book is written in a language that you and I both speak, the definitions of the words such as jealousy and envy in today's tongue, in today's speech, in today's comprehension, just in talking to one another, are fundamentally different than when they were. Because today, if you look in a dictionary, it's going to call jealousy and envy a synonym, being as in the same word, as in you can use them in place of one another, whereas jealousy has its root in zealous and in zeal, and someone who is adamant, essentially, and envy is covetedness. So where jealousy is someone who is zealous and does not want to be replaced, envy is someone who is covetousness and in want of something. So we're dealing with not just, and it's not flat. I mean, that can be easily observed just line of sight. But aside from that, we're dealing with the complete and total destruction of the form of communication. If you want to make it difficult for a group that you were trying to subjugate, let's say, to resist that subjugation, the easiest, most direct, and most foolproof way of doing that is eliminating their ability to communicate with one another. If you hijack the meanings of the words in a language, you confuse the language, which is bringing something into war. That's the root of the word war, is to bring into confusion. It goes back to the Old High German, I believe, Wehren,
right, well,
which is to bring into confusion. Yeah, so that's what we've done.
Yeah, right. My point, Seth, though, is that we have enough ancient old manuscripts like the Book of Enoch, like the Book of Jasher, that talks about these beings. In fact, it's in all different cultures, from beings from heaven, which would be the sky, came and mixed with human women, and created a hybrid race, or the Nephilim. And we can see these ancient megalith cities. And
well, the Nephilim and the humans is what created the hybrid race. That's the three races. That's good. Well done, Jagger. That's, at least if we're basing these ideas and these thoughts upon the written record that we have. That's right. There would be the sons of Adam, like Adama, man, the sons of the Nephilim, and the Nephilim. I'm sorry. We'd have Adama, Nephilim, and then the sons of the Nephilim. So yeah, that's the three races.
Right. So how the flat Earth, because this is the big thing, Seth. Because if this turns out to be true, then we're able to put together so many other things now. So now,
flat Earth? Yeah, no, that's
Right.
You can't refer. No, that's not true. I mean, I've got people that I talk to that are on the southern hemisphere. They're going I'm coming into spring. They're going into autumn right now, fall.
Right. Well, you don't know how the sun and the moon actually rotate when it's closer. I'll tell you what. You got somebody.
I can observe it. You're right. I don't know, but I mean, I know what I have observed.
Right. You got somebody in the southern hemisphere, so tell them to to find a southern hemisphere time lapse of the stars at night. So they'll look up, they'll see the North Star, which should be impossible because they're on the southern hemisphere, but they point the camera and do a time lapse of their star systems and do a time lapse where you speed up the stars and watch. It's one complete circular pattern that it's going in. Then take a time lapse.
The Earth.
Take a time lapse of the northern hemisphere, Seth. And they're both the same. How is that possible, Seth? How is that possible if you live on a ball? That's not possible. It's not possible. They see the same stars we're seeing. They see the same ones we see, Seth.
No.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You'll find out. You'll find out. Yeah, you're on a flat Earth, Seth. You're about to get your head ruptured.
Flat's relative, but no. Like the Earth, when observed, I mean, it's
observed from where? You got real time picture of the Earth from space?
Do I? Well, I mean, the internet is at my fingertips. I could
check
find one.
There's no real time picture of the Earth from space. There's not even pictures of Earth from space. You can't find one.
Pictures of Earth from space? I imagine that I can.
Oh no. Oh yeah. Oh, this is like, you're going to be punch drunk by the time I'm done with you, Seth. No, you're going to get your head blown apart again.
From space. Enter. Let's see here. Okay. Here's a number of pictures from Earth from space.
Okay. Go ahead and stick it.
What, real time? Is that what you said? Real time?
Oh, yeah. Real time.
Satellite. Real time.
What you're about to show me is composites, and you're about to show me artwork and pictures. You're about to show me what this guy...
That's what you asked for, was pictures of Earth from space. I can't do anything better than to offer what you asked for.
Well, what I'm saying is, who says there are pictures from Earth from space? What you're looking at is a painting. Or what you're looking at is what they would call a composite. Where they,
on the radars, on the radars and the GPS satellites, yeah, they composite those. They correlate the data from one to the other. Yes.
Right. Okay. Right. They can go so far up, and then they can take slices of it. Those are composites. What you're looking at is not a picture; it's a composite. They'll even say it.
Well, no, some of them, I mean, you can't get a picture of every side of a sphere in one two-dimensional photograph. That's the nature of a three-dimensional shape.
No, what I am saying, Seth, is that there are no real-time, there's no camera on a satellite 55 miles up or 100 miles up, or they say they go out 200 miles. Whatever it is, it's way up there. They say the orbit, 22,000 miles. I think that's the last one. They make up great lies. These people are really good. So, 22,000 miles in space, you'll have a satellite that has a camera that points back to Earth, where you can see a real-time picture of Earth. There is no such thing.
Real time implies that you were seeing it as it's happening and dealing with the type of internet that you and I have access to here in the United States. There's no such thing as real time when it comes to digitally broadcast media. Like, even live video feeds actually have a delay of at least 30 to 180 milliseconds.
I know, but you're not getting it, Seth. Take a look at a picture of the Earth in motion. It's fine that fine. Earth, picture of Earth, rotating time lapse in motion.
Picture of Earth.
Oh boy, I got you. You're going to be punch drunk.
Rotating in motion. Albeit the rotating kind of implies motion, but okay, rotating in motion.
Time lapse.
Real time lapse. You can't do time lapse in real time. That's not how time lapse works.
Just a time lapse picture of the Earth. Complete picture of the Earth, time lapse.
I gotcha. All right.
All right, you got one? Uh-huh. All righty.
All right. Yes.
Okay, you got it? So a time lapse, you see about what? Half of the Earth rotate by? Right?
Sure. I watch a lot of weather radars.
Okay, that's good, that's good. So you're now watching a time-lapse picture of the Earth rotating a third or half in about 4 or 5 seconds, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Do you notice something, Seth?
Lots of blue.
Right, but I'm talking about the clouds. You notice something about the clouds? Uh-huh. What do you notice, Seth? Why don't you tell everybody what you see?
What is it that I'm seeing?
You're seeing clouds moving with the Earth. You're seeing clouds staying in the same place for 12, 14 hours or whatever your time lapse is, staying in the identical place. That's what
relative to the images that are being taken. Sure.
What I'm saying is you can't have clouds that just a cloud cover or a front or a swirl or whatever. It's going to stay in the same spot on the Earth for 12 hours and not move.
We're talking about distances here, to where what seems to be non-movement is there's still movement there.
No, they're all as the Earth is turning. You got to remember this is time lapse, Seth. You've just spun the Earth in 4 seconds. It's actually 12 hours. What you've seen in 4 or 5 seconds. The Earth is actually 12 hours of spinning, and the clouds are going to stay in the identical spot because there's no real time picture, Seth. There is none. That time lapse, that's all made up. That's a composite. That's a artist drawing. That's CGI. Think about what I'm saying, Seth. There's no real time pictures of the ball of the Earth because there's none. Because we're not. We're a spherical, circular, flat plane.
Wait, hold on.
All right.
Spherical and circular work together relatively well. Spherical, circular, and flat do not work together. It's like on Sesame Street, right? One of these things is not like the others. One of these things does not belong, right?
We're on a plane.
We are on a plane. I manufacture parts for planes so that other people can be on planes as well.
Right. What I'm saying is we're on a plane.
Fly around this sphere. So, okay, how is the curvature of the Earth as observed from flying objects of the identified sort, as in planes, balloons, right? There was the guy that base jumped from, I can't remember what the altitude was, set a record last year, right, jumping from space. So how exactly do you explain the curvature of the horizon and the Earth?
Okay. This is too much fun. It's called a fish eye lens. And so this is what happened.
I know what a fisheye lens is.
Right. And so that creates the curvature. But if you take up another lens,
Have you never flown before, like on a plane? You can see the curvature, like with your eyeballs.
no, you're looking out a window, Seth.
Yeah,
No,
that's how you see out of an object that has windows. Is you
right.
look out.
What I'm saying is that the curvature of the window gives that effect.
But then it would give that effect on the ground as well.
No, what I'm saying, Seth.
I've flown in small ultralight aircraft that are made of tubular what's the word, corrugated folded steel, right? Wrapped with fabric, open cockpit, right? To where I was sitting in front of the pilot. The propeller, the engine, the propeller that drives the plane was behind the pilot. Open cockpit, flying relatively low altitude. Obviously, it's an open cockpit plane, but even from a relatively low altitude, you can see the curvature of the horizon. You can see the massive ship disappearing over the horizon. You can see things coming into sight over the horizon. If everything was, I live in Kansas, like it's literally flatter than a pancake here, right? So if the Earth was flat, I just living somewhere where I'm so very familiar with flight and things of that nature. Not only everything else that we can observe in the heavens.
Air Force balloonist,
all of it is spherical. So why would it be any different here? How do you explain any sort of celestial mechanics if we're rotating on a spherical round flat disc? Is that what you said?
Right. Well, we're not rotating at all. We're not rotating at all. The heavens and the stars are rotating around us, as well as the sun and the moon.
Well, around us is relative.
Oh,
yes.
over top of us. But no, you're actually wrong. They've actually taken a camera up to 120,000 feet, and there is no curvature of the Earth. It is flat from one horizon to the other. There are pictures.
Why hasn't anyone fallen off?
No. Because in your mind you think that, but if you actually go online, so you're standing on the beach, right, Seth? And you see a ship.
No, I'm sitting in a chair, but
what I'm saying is you're standing on a beach and you see a ship going out to sea. So you see it pretty good at 5 miles. Then I'm talking about a big ship. 10 miles, you see it, but then it gets smaller and smaller until what happens? You can't see it anymore, right?
Depends upon the type of ship that it is and whether or not it has masts that stick up above it.
Okay, well, it's got mask. What I'm saying, it's a giant container ship, and you watch it until finally it disappears. Correct? Right?
Okay.
So you would attribute that to the curvature of the Earth. It went out there 20 miles, and the Earth curved and went. It's gone. It's around the curvature of the Earth. It's gone 20 miles and dropped. The Earth curved.
And then it just falls off the Earth.
No, it just curved a couple hundred feet. Right?
I don't seeing something at 20 miles is relatively difficult. Actually, like visibility here, in clear days is still only about 10 to 15 miles.
Seth, from where I'm at, from my side of the Cascade Mountains, and I'm up in the foothills, on the side of my hill, I can look out from my property. I can look across the field because it slopes down, the garden and everything slopes down a little bit, and then it kind of drops down the creek and then trees. I can look straight out, and for over 200 miles I can see Mount Olympus. I mean, clear as day. You see out definitive.
Lovely eyes fixed in a gaze.
But you don't let me get to my point. My point is, the reason why you're not able to see that container ship after 20 miles is because of the curvature of the Earth, right? You can't see it anymore. Right? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm trying to. The ship is on the water. The Earth has curvature. It curves. Supposedly, it loses 16 feet for every 6 miles, something like that. I don't know exactly what the bend is, but eventually, the ship is going to, you can watch it. It'll go out, and then after 20 miles, you can't see it, and that would be attributed to the curvature of the Earth. Correct?
Uh-huh.
All you got to do is pick a telescope up and look, and you'll see that ship in all her glory. You can go to high mountains over oceans. I'm talking thousands of feet up, and look from one horizon to the other. You'll see nothing but a straight line. You'll see astronauts up in their space junk buckets or whatever. They say they can punch through this prison canopy or whatever we're locked in, a glass, whatever it is that prevents us from, that keeps our atmosphere in. All that massive gravity is able to snatch that air and hang on to it as we spin 1,000 miles an hour around the sun. It's just ridiculous. Anyways, so they got pictures of different supposed astronauts up there. Take a look at some of the backdrop of the quote-unquote curvature of the Earth. It is nothing but a straight line. It's fisheye. It's an illusion, Seth. How can you see a lighthouse 60 miles away, sticking straight up? If it was curved or something, it should be bent to one side or the other, or there's like a bend to it because there's so much distance. Oh no, you're in trouble, Seth. You're about to get your mind.
Oh, I'm in trouble. I don't like being in trouble.
Everybody is. Everybody, because this is a game changer. So what does this mean? This means when you sync it up to the reptilian human hybrids that are ruling over us, and us waking up to that we are actually a very special place. Really, now you're getting down to God-created reality that we actually live in. We're just not some little sand and little nobody.
Which one?
Want to jerk?
God.
What's that?
So which one?
What do you mean?
You said God created reality. Which God? Which one?
Well, I'm a Christian. Yahweh, Jehovah. His son Yeshua. The Christian worldview.
Okay.
Now that's what I mean. But what I'm saying is now all of a sudden, if this is the model, and I'm almost 95% there, the only problem I've got is how can those stars spin so fast at night, even when you do a time lapse? I mean, they would really have to be moving, or they would have to be a lot closer than you would think. So I got a couple holdouts, but I'm almost there. So all of a sudden, we're just not insignificant, one person out of 7 billion people on this dirty rock we call Earth, and there's a billion other worlds out there full of a billion other species and a trillion other civilizations. And all of a sudden, now you start what comes into focus with this flat Earth disc on a plane type of existence is that we're created, and we are very special. So, I'll give you another one. Here's one, Seth. So this one flat earther, now these guys are zealots. I think I'm going to probably become one of these zealots. One of the zealots put a camera without the fisheye on a balloon, took it up to 129,000 feet to take a picture of the Earth, straight line, no curvature. I mean, that's more than a jetliner. Jetliner's at 35,000. He took it up to 129 and showed using a straight lens. In other words, no fisheye. And you could see from place to place, completely flat. So anyways, this guy took this Bible and he decided to stalk every single one. It's really good footage. You might find it online. Every single one of the astronauts that he could. I'm talking Ed Mitchell, all these old guys. About 7 of them, I think he got. You know, they would be selling books, that they would be at a conference. So he would take this Holy Bible, and he walked up to him, and he says, you know, the controversy with the moon or whatever, you know, Mr. John Glenn or Mitchell, can we just clear this up right now? Can you just put your hand on the Bible and swear to God that you went to the moon? And look at each and every single one of those men's reactions. Talk about rage. One of them kicks him in the butt, throws him out of his house because he thought that he was doing a documentary. And he gets it on film. Just put your hand on the Bible and swear. None of them will do it. One of the astronauts just sucker punches him right in the face and knocks him down. Another one of the astronauts, I mean, these are old men. Another one of them, he's walking with them. He says, just put your hand on the Bible. He's walking. I mean, these are, you know, ambush type things. None of them would do it. You see this old man, I don't know which astronaut, you see this old man run, haul ass through these doors. And then when he gets on the other side of the door, you put this on a YouTube or footage or anyway, you're going to get sued. And slams the door. All of them break into a rage. All because he simply asked them nicely, can we just clear this up? Can you just put your hand on the Bible and swear to God that you went to the moon? Another one comes out and he's trying to get him to swear. And he walks right up to the camera with his face and bashes his face right into the camera of the guy who's doing it. You'll see the most...
I imagine that would be relatively frustrating.
You'll see the most rude, vile, violent behavior out of all of these old, genteel, old men who's supposed to have gone to the moon because of one question and one act. Just put your hand on the Bible and just swear. Let's clear it up right now.
What's the big deal with that, though? Why? I mean, in the book, you're asking these people to put their hand on and swear. Does it not state in very plain language not to do that?
Seth, when you go to court...
Hijacker.
Seth, when you go to court...
Hijacker.
Oh, you're not supposed to swear in the Bible? Oh, yeah, that's in there. Don't take an oath. Let your answer be yes, yes, or no, no. You're right. You're not supposed to take an oath. You're not supposed to swear.
Right. Okay.
I agree with that. I mean, as a Christian like me, I wouldn't do it. You know, I wouldn't swear on the Bible for nothing. But these men aren't Christians. I mean, this is like people going to court. Happens every day. People, they break out the Bible, they put their hand on the Bible, then they go into testimony. I mean, it's just like, it's rote every day. You know, that's all these guys had to do. Unless they know something, Seth. Unless they know they haven't been to the moon. They got the keys to the kingdoms. They're high-level Masons. They're a part of the secret society. And they know that we're on a... They know... Wait a minute, Seth. They know the construct of the world that we live on. And they know fully that there is a God. And they're not going to do that. And it's like holy water on vampires.
There's many gods. And if they were... If they knew the things that you were implying that they knew, they would be able to put their hand on that book and say anything they wanted to without it mattering to them one bit at all. We're talking about paper and ink, man.
No, you're not getting...
Yes, I am getting it, hijacker. That's what I'm trying to explain to you, man.
Even though they're on the dark side, Seth, you don't understand.
Yeah, and it's really friggin' hard to see on the dark side because there's not any light.
I know, but they know enough to know that there's a God out there, and it's like...
There are many gods out there. People have talked about gods for a very, very long time. Hijacker, what does the word God mean to you? What does that mean? When you hear the word God, what's the first thing? What is the first prerequisite for something being called a god?
Well, the word God to me is the same as creator.
Okay, that's odd because those are two very very different words, like creator.
I know.
I comprehend, but God is something that refers.
Seth, we're talking about astronauts which acted like assholes.
I know, and I'm talking about gods. I know.
I can explain it to you because they're on the dark side. It's like somebody who chooses to do evil. Yeah, he'll go and bang your wife. He's not going to kill a kid. There's levels of evil.
Jacker. Where does evil come from?
Well, evil actually comes from free will.
No, evil comes from the Almighty. El Shaddai. Yes? Yahweh mentioned it earlier. All things come from the Creator. All things.
Right.
Everything.
Actually,
there is not a God. There are many gods. Even the scripture in which you're talking about refers to many gods.
Yeah, you shall have no other gods before me. Well, what do we got an option here, Lord? I mean, what do you mean?
And as for me and my house, choose you this day whom you will serve. You familiar with that one?
Right, and the Bible actually talks about
that implies a choice, right?
Right. Well, it actually talks about a council of 24 gods, which are
that's the elders. That's no. Don't confuse it. It states it all very, very plainly.
No. It says right there in Psalms, the council of the gods. It says right there, Seth.
Right. Council of the Elohim. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right, and they are the highest created beings besides God. Even
No, it states in that book that there is no other beside him, implying directly the opposite of what you just suggested, that there are others beside him. There are no others beside him.
No, there's no other God. What I'm trying to say...
There are many other gods. There is no other beside the Almighty. Words are important here, man.
Right, well, what I'm saying is I'm not going to get into this. Look, too late at night, Seth. I'm not going to get into friggin' words with you. The point I'm trying to make is that the Lord God says, you shall have no other gods before me, meaning that there are, quote unquote, a class of godlike beings. Super beings.
Elohim, yes. Elohim is a plural term, yes.
Right, with the most super intelligent created being Satan or Lucifer or the devil.
It doesn't say that.
What's that?
It doesn't. What you just implied that was incredibly honoring of the adversary. What you just said, but it doesn't say that. It's what it implies in the Book of Tanakh and other texts that.
Right. Well, I was trying to stay on point about the flat Earth and the astronauts, trying to give you the information as it comes up. But what could suffice for making all these old men become violent, vulgar? Just nasty people, just explode over a simple, let's clear it up, can you put your hand on the Bible? All they had to do was say, just, buddy, I don't want to talk to you, can you leave me alone, and just walk away.
Maybe they have a problem with the idolatry of placing one's hand on a piece of paper and ink.
No, this is what this guy was asking them to do. They're willing to kill. Like an evil guy's willing to kill, but he's not willing to kill a child. They're willing to walk in darkness, but they're not willing to mess around with the set.
Very, very relative.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they're not willing to go so far as to put their hand on something that holy and tempt a God that they know is out there. They're not going to do that evil. Well, I'm not going that far. It's because they know.
It's like there are more of those on the face of the planet than probably just about any other book printed. At least in the language you and I are speaking. Like, it's just a book, man. Like, in that book you're talking about, it says to not practice idolatry. Paraphrasing, obviously, right? But in setting that ink and that paper apart and being like, I'm going to place my hand on this, and it means something other than when my hand is not placed on it, that's idolatry, man. That's using the very book that says to not practice idolatry as an idol.
I agree, Seth. I agree, because I'm a Christian. I come from a Christian perspective, so I completely agree. There's no argument. What I'm trying to tell you is that It was the reaction of these people when they came face to face with actually trying to clear up a question by using the courtroom tactic of placing your hand on the Holy Scriptures. They were not willing to do that, and there was a violent, filthy, vulgar reaction out of each and every single one of these people.
How would you react if you were confronted by an adversary? Like, would you react in violent and vulgar fashion?
If I had been an astronaut and some guy walks up with the Bible and he goes, if we can just clear whether you went to the moon or not, because there's controversy, there's more and more, which there is, can you just put your hand on the Bible and just swear on camera so that we can clear it up? Then I would have said, well, I wouldn't have been an astronaut because I'm a Christian and you get weeded out. I don't have the right genetics. But let's just say I was like one of these old men. I would have simply said, you know, buddy, I'm not going to play your game, your little prop. I'm not going to do it. Just leave me alone. And, you know, I would have walked away. I wouldn't have acted like all these guys acted, kicking them in the butt, punching them in the face, slamming doors, running, cussing, bumping cameras, yelling. I mean, wow. One little thing that makes you people go to pieces? What the hell's wrong with you? That's what I'm saying, because they know, Seth, that the earth is a flat type disc. It might have some curvature to it. There's textures to it. There's people that have saying, look, it could be sort of actually a roll, like a bowl. Could have like, you know, could be more than what we think. And not just straight, flat like Oklahoma. So,
Jesus.
But it ain't no circle. It ain't no ball. That's for sure. At least I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to pick it off. I'm gonna hunt this baby down. I will find this out.
I doubt it, but I hope, I guess, that you find something out. That would be good. What's the point? Like, what's it matter?
It matters that because it means that because these elite who've been ruling over us, and have given
placed
us
there by whom? Who has placed these people over us, hijacker? I'm using us loosely, but forgive me. Go ahead.
The fallen ones.
Yeah, but who placed these entities over us?
No, they were cast to earth.
Right. But who placed them over us?
Who placed them over us?
Yeah, the scriptures that you're basing this upon, who does it say placed these rulers over us?
Well, then you're getting back to original sin and Adam and Eve.
No, I'm not. I'm at simple question, simple answer. Who placed these rulers over us?
Who placed the rulers over us?
Yes. Who has made the basest among us to rule us?
They did.
They being whom?
The fallen ones, the Draco reptilians, the Pleiades.
That runs. You understand and comprehend, right? That runs contrary to what is plainly stated in the text, right?
You mean in Scripture?
Yes, that's the
text.
text.
All those in authority.
Yes.
Obey all those that are in authority over you because they were placed there by God to basically.
It doesn't say God. I mean, I know it's got that word a lot in the English language, but if you it's someone who studies it in the languages in which it was preserved, it's relatively straightforward. I mean, it's relatively straightforward in the English. Relatively, if you get past it changing a lot of the words and the meanings, because you and I are speaking colloquial English.
Right. What you're trying to get me to say is that God himself divinely placed these people to rule over us. And that's why we
I wouldn't say God himself, because that begs the question, well, which God? And Like I said,
Let's not do semantics. I mean, this is late night radio. We're trying to keep on training.
Not semantics. Accuracy, saying what you mean, and knowing what you say in order to say what you mean.
When I say God himself, as a Christian, that means I'm quoting from the Bible, which that's what God calls himself.
That Hellenistic paganism. Christianity is Hellenistic paganism, just like Islam and just like Judaism, just like any of the religions that are currently practiced en masse on the face of the planet. It's all Hellenistic paganism.
No, I don't know who told you that. Who gave you that bit of history?
It's obvious. It's obvious. Why is it practiced in so many different ways in so many different parts of the world? Why? Because it's a branding that has been placed upon local deities of any particular region. That's why, I mean, come on, man. You say Christian, you realize that includes, Christianity includes the Protestants and the Catholics have their own pantheon of saints that they pray to, like their own pantheon. They have different holidays. They all go by Pope Gregory's calendar, which is completely and totally out of whack, not accurate for keeping times, days, or festivals.
Wait a minute, Seth. That is not the Christianity that I practice. That I see what is in the Bible. I'm not a Holy Roman Catholic, Universal Church.
Right, but you use the blanket term of Christianity, and I'm just referencing what is there to be referenced.
I'm talking about when I say Christian. When you hear somebody say Christian, what you're basically hearing when you hear somebody says that I'm a Christian, you're saying that I belong to this religion who believes that this one guy came to this earth and he was actually God incarnate. He was actually the creator that manifested in the flesh. And so,
right. You realize that God incarnate and the creator are two different things, right?
Seth, what I'm saying is that unlike any other, can you name me another religion where a guy says, by the way, I'm God. I'm God in the flesh. I'm not a part of God. I'm not like God. I'm not a messenger of God. I'm not a prophet of God. I am God. So give me another religion that, besides Christianity.
You name me what religion where anybody said that.
Christianity.
Okay.
Yeshua.
What verse? I'm gonna. You tell me the verse, and I'll tell you what it says in the language in which it was written.
It's
preserved.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
That's 1 John, right? Right.
Okay, I am the Father of one. I am the Father of one.
At the Alpha and the Omega, right?
Who has seen me has seen the Father.
In Bereshit, right? In the beginning. That's the word for Genesis, right? Bereshit is Genesis. In the beginning was the Word. In the beginning was the Aleph Tav, right? The Aleph Tav, the Alpha and the Omega, the Word, the Logos, right? Okay. So
I am the Alpha and the Omega.
Was the Aleph and the Tav, right? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. So the first verse of Genesis is Bereshit, which is beginnings. Bara, recreated. Bereshit bara Elohim. What you keep referring to in English as God, which is actually more accurately translated as the gods. Bereshit bara Elohim eighth. That's the fourth word, eighth.
When I say to you, Seth,
hold on. Let me finish. It's 7 words. We can get through 7 words with a little bit of explanation. Bereshit bara Elohim eighth shamayim ve'teretz. Right? In the beginning, it's actually beginnings, created, recreated, recast, recut down. Beginnings, recreated, the gods, those who emanate, the Elohim, right? It's a plural term. It's not a singular term. It's a plural term. If you're at the top, why not just delineate the work, right? Just let it sprinkle down.
Okay, Steph, let's...
Eighth, that's the word. That's the important one. That's the word that is in the beginning and was with God and was God is eighth.
It's going to go to 20
Aleph and the Tav. there's more information here than what you're taking in, Hijacker, because it's very, very...
Right, let's go 20 seconds. Let's not make it one way. Let's go 20 seconds back and forth. You want to get in a barroom fight? Let's do it. It defines itself. It says, in the beginning was the Word. The
Logos.
In the beginning was the Word. What is the Word? The Word was with God.
The Aleph and the Tav. It's the Christ.
God. And the Word was God.
Right.
So
the Aleph
fighting the Word and God is the same. Right. So there's one. Then you got Jesus is talking about Abraham. Abraham saw...
Letter J. Hold on. The letter J has only existed for about 400 years.
His name is Jesus. It's Yeshua.
Yoshua. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
that's not the same as Jesus. Like if I go to France, right? My name's Seth. If I go to France and I tell them my name and they write my name down and then pronounce it and it's like Steve. I'm like, no, that's not my name. My name's not Steve. My name is Seth. And they're like, in our language, your name is Steve. And I'm like, no, my name is Seth, right? Your name doesn't change, okay? Names don't change. If we're talking about ancient documents and text that has been preserved for friggin' millennia, the meanings of the words don't change, right?
Right. What's your point?
What do you mean, what's my point? It's what we're talking about. I'm trying to get you to have some sort of basis here in what you're saying and show you that the accuracies and the inaccuracies of what you're saying.
Well, you brought this thing up, the word J in Jesus out of nowhere. What's the point of that?
The letter J didn't exist until like 400 years ago, man. That's what I'm saying.
I know. I can't help it if these reptilian human hybrids invented it and switched the name out, and they do switch things all the time.
Hybrids. Come on.
No, his name is Yeshua.
Joshua. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the Christos, the Christ, the Meshiach. That's who you're talking about, right? Why not refer to him accurately? That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm trying to for the audience that I got.
Why?
Okay.
Why pander? Why pander?
All I'm simply saying is that give me another religion.
They deserve truth, accuracy, honesty. Why pander? Well, let me break this down for you. How about you just tell me what's up?
Right. Well, why don't you do this, Seth? Why don't you give me another religion in which some guy shows up and says, "Oh, I'm not a messenger of God. I'm not like a Buddha, part of God. I'm not this. I'm not that. I am God."
I can't even say that about Christian. I can't even give you Christianity as that because I'm telling you, man, what you thinking it's saying, it's not saying.
I'm using the words of Yeshua. This is what he said about himself.
No, he didn't speak English. You're not using the words of Yeshua.
Oh, you just want to be arguing. It's too late, Seth. It's too late.
Or early. That's all perspective. It's 10 to 5 in the morning here,
Listen,
man.
Seth, why aren't you doing shows anymore? You had a good show.
I am doing shows.
Oh, you are? Well, when are you doing shows now?
Late at night so that I don't disturb anyone in their truth seeking. Nobody wants to hear the truth, Hijacker, because it's really upsetting, man. I upset people. Yeah, well, no offense. Honestly, the only reason I host is for the sake of conversation. And thank you for taking my call, actually. That in mind.
Yeah, no offense. I'm not doing shows anymore. I'm not in chat. I only scatter.
I ain't gonna give you no offense taken.
Yeah, but I'm saying is that the reason why I didn't know you were not doing your show is I'm not really fully tuned in.
Oh no, I am. Well, it's not my show. I host Second Foundation. When is it? It's Tuesday. No, it's Wednesdays at 4 a.m. Eastern time. It's Tuesday night for me, but it's
Oh wow, you're not doing 5 days a week anymore. That's right, huh?
Not for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, you put a lot of time in, Seth. I mean, you were a record holder. That's for sure.
Yeah, I broadcast. There was. Yeah, I think almost 2 years, not quite 2 years, but almost 2 years I was scheduled to host more than just about anybody else was. But that was 13 hours a week. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I do remember that. 13, 14, 15. It was an incredible amount, for sure. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I broadcast a lot. I've had a lot of conversations. Absolutely. I enjoy them. mostly. But I think that I like to study, scripture. I like to study what's written. I think that the fact that it has been preserved in the manner in which it has over the last couple of thousand years, there's probably something to that. And when you start reading, and doing just a cursory amount of research, I mean, we're living in a time and place where if you're listening to my voice, you probably have relatively easy access to the internet. Now, the internet only has what it has, but it has some great tools. And tools, just like a hammer. Hammer can be used to build a house or to kill somebody. So it's a tool like any other, and it only has what it has. But in reading and studying, you start to realize that there's no one. There aren't any religions, on this planet right now that are following the text they claim to be following, like the people of the book, as some of them call them or whatever. They're all ignoring the books. Like,
well, yeah. Well, you use the word
at this point. It's all Hellenistic paganism. It's all
you
tradition.
use the word religion. Why don't you break that down? Because I'm not.
Religion. It's regularity. Something done with regularity.
Or it
like,
has another
I religiously wash my hair,
right,
like almost
means
every day.
Another definition of religion, if you look it up, it means to bind in chains. To bind in like chains.
Like etymologically? Like, I know that I can't look that up in a dictionary and get to bind and change. And chains, sorry. Let's see here. Well, I'll pull up the etymological roots of it because, like I said, we have the internet at our fingertips. Why not use it, right?
Yeah. The knowledge of the known universe. In fact, this whole flat Earth disk theory really changes everything. What we've learned. It's mind expanding.
State of life bound by monastic vows. Also, conduct indicating a belief in divine power. From Anglo-French religium, or what would that be? Religium? Probably not. I don't actually speak French. Old French religion, piety, devotion, religious community. Don't you like that? I love it when they use the word itself to define it. Okay, let's take it back a little bit further. And directly from Latin, religionem, nominative of religio, respect for what is sacred, reverence for the gods, conscientiousness, sense of right, moral obligation, fear of the gods, divine service, religious observance, a religion, a faith, a mode of worship, cult, sanctity, holiness, in late Latin monastic life. According to Cercio, derived from religere, which is to go through again, in reading or in thought, from which is again, and legere, which is read. Okay? So religion is to reread. Yes, okay. However, popular etymology among later ancients, Servius, Lactantius, Augustine, and the interpretation of many modern writers connects it with religere, which is spelled Religare, which is to bind fast. There's your chains, hijacker. Etymology, okay, via notion of place and obligation on or bound between humans and gods. In that case, the would be intensive. Another possible origin is religions, which is careful, opposite of negligence. Negligence, right? Okay. In English, meaning particular system of faith, is recorded from about 1300. Sense of recognition and allegiance in a manner of life perceived as justly due to a higher unseen power or powers is from 1530s. Gotcha. So it's either from religions, which is careful, religere, which is to bind fast, or religere, which is pronounced a little bit differently, which is to re and read. So it's either from re and legere, Legere, or from religere, which is, let me find it here. Bomb between RE, and so yeah, there you have it, hijacker.
After reading all that stuff, I got to say, I guess I'm a tad bit religious. So
religious, man. I'm not at all. Like I said, I wash my hair with regularity. I brush my teeth with regularity. But as far as going to one of these strange pagan temples and, you know, going through all their rites and things like that, it's all relatively absurd if you read, you know, the books they claim to be basing this upon.
Well, you ought to actually read some of the Gnostic Christian religions and the way.
You mean I should reread?
Yeah, you should reread. And you know what, Seth? What would be good medicine for you is to get a red letter Bible for the four Gospels and just read Jesus' words, the red letter words, only those. You'll get a completely different take.
I don't need to get another one. I've got a couple of those probably. Hell, I've got 1, 2. I've got.
Yeah, you're a scholar. Yeah, of course you. Yeah.
Right, within easy reach, man.
Well, yeah, we'll just try to do that.
I'm not making this up.
Every night, just take a couple chapters and just read Jesus' words. Forget all the other stuff.
You mean Yeshua?
Yeah, Yeshua. Right, there you go.
And forget all of the others. Then, okay, if
you get a different take on Christianity. It's not what you think.
Not Christianity. It is not based upon that book, man. That's if I'm trying to make any point at all, and I'm not. I'm just here for the conversation. But Christianity is not based upon anything biblical. Like, it's all tradition and it's all Hellenistic paganism,
right.
Whether it's Protestant or Catholicism. If you look at it, I'm telling you, man, you'll find it. It's there. It's obvious.
No,
and I'm not at the same time, you know, I'm not trying to, I don't know. I'm not suggesting anyone actually study any of it, but I mean, if you're gonna, you know, talk about it and be like, oh, Christian this and Christian that, and then Bible this and Bible that, you got to realize that they don't run in concert with one another.
Right. Let's drop the label Christian. I'm just saying, as a way for you
That's
to personally.
One of the best things you've ever said, hijacker. Okay, right. Dropped, done.
Right, as a way for you to personally get in touch with Yeshua. Just read his words a couple chapters a night and see if you're not drawn to the way. His way, so to speak. He said he is the way, the life.
You know the way that he followed, right?
Right, the way he presented it. Just his red letter words. That's all. That's my attempt
the
to.
Truth in life. I'm also familiar with that verse, but you understand, right? The way that he is referring to, right? You comprehend that that's not the first time he showed up in that collection of books, right? You understand the way that he's referring to. Paul is confusing. Like, a lot of what you're talking about is
That's Pauline. I know what you're talking about.
Point at Paul, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's if you don't have a comprehension, even basic, or an idea of what's going on in the law, then how are you going to understand anything that happens in the later stories, man? Like, if you don't understand that such things matter, if such things didn't matter, then why would they be shared in the first place? And if they happen in a different way, then why isn't it stated that way? If these texts are not accurate and saying exactly and literally what they mean to be saying, then why has there been so much attention, trouble, and money been spent on confusing what is actually said in the languages that are commonly used today to communicate with one another?
Because you're not calculating in that there's another serpent, seed line, bloodline.
I absolutely am. I would describe it differently than you do. but I am absolutely calculating that in. I'm not leaving anything
Calculate that,
out.
and you can see where all the confusion comes from, where the religion comes from, where the rights and all the bondage and
Right.
the church. You can
Currently
see
currently where you and I
change words, change
reside,
voice.
where we exist, who dictates to us what we can eat, what we can say, what we can wear, what we can think? Who dictates that to us currently in the society in which we live, Hijacker?
It's actually a supercomputer.
It's attorneys, actually. They're the ones that write and edit history books, medical books. They're the ones who tell us what we can and cannot do, right? Because if you don't do what's right, you're taken into court, brought before Justicia, right? Yes, it's the attorneys, yes? That's who dictates. That's dictating, telling someone or arbitrating, who arbitrates to us.
And an attorney is what? Seth? Well, what's another name for an attorney?
Hashatan. Yes?
Wait, what is that, Seth?
In English, it's Satan. It means adversary.
Or board of vipers. There's another.
Right. Okay, and if that was not how it is going to be and how it's supposed to be, then why is that the way that it is? If the El Shaddai is actually El Shaddai, Almighty.
The only way that God could get true, conscious friends that could enjoy Him, because He's the greatest thing possible to enjoy, and so Him being all good, He would just want to create conscious, loving beings that would enjoy Him. He didn't want robots, and so He had to play the free will card. Once you play the free will card, Katie bar the door. She goes sideways. Evil comes up.
Where does evil come from? It's perversity that comes up. It's not evil. Evil exists, man. It's light and dark. If evil doesn't exist, neither does good, because they define one another.
Now, it comes from our appetites. It comes from a flesh-based body, this kind of plane that we're on.
Perversion. Absolutely. Yes, carnal. I gotcha.
Right. So, and then it just descends, and then the world system is set up like that. So, if you're willing to do evil,
here, right? Yes.
Right.
We're service-dwelling earth inhabitants.
Right, and then you raise up in the ranks because you're willing to do evil, and then you do more, and the system gets set up, and so that's why they call this is Lucifer's world.
Not Lucifer, man. Come on now. I'm a stickler for words. Lucifer, the only time that's used in the scripture, right? The only time the word Lucifer, the adversary. Satan is not a name. You understand that, right? It's a title. It's not a name.
Right.
There are many adversaries. You can go to any courtroom anywhere in the world and find, dozens of them. Yes. Like I was saying, you could go to wherever textbooks are edited and find them there, because that's what they do.
Right. Well, if Lucifer, if he is the god of this world, he's only going to put his name once in the Bible. So
Elohim, cherubim, and not Lucifer. Lucifer, the term Lucifer in, I believe, what is it, Isaiah?
Isaiah.
The only place in the scriptures that the term Lucifer is used, its translation from, phosphorus, Lucifer. It's the morning star, it's the bright morning star. The Christ, actually, Christos, the Messiah, is referred to as the morning star a number of times in the scripture. Actually, more times is he referred to as the morning star than the term Lucifer actually occurs in the text. And in context, that reference is not referencing this fallen cherubim, or this cherubim that has been essentially exiled from Shemaim. It's not referring to him. It's referring to a fallen Babylonian king. Oh, how great was your might, and now you're fallen. Right?
It's paraphrasing, and we're not sure who put the word in, who took the word out.
No, that was an overzealous monk who was a follower of the cult of Venus. Actually, that's who did that. The internet is at your fingertips, man. Use it.
Oh yeah, I know we're finding everything out, but this last thing, Seth, with this flat disk Earth model on this plane, I feel almost like a god of knowledge that I got to the top of the mountain, all the hell I went through in my life, and now I'm at the top of the mountain. I know about the flat Earth. I know about the reptilian human hybrids. I got, boom, all the knowledge poured in. This internet is just like, wow. Go ahead.
Yeah, the internet's only got what it has, and it can be, very misleading. You can find anything you want to on the internet. I'm just saying, man, that what's there is plainly there, and if you're going to talk about it, you might as well, look at what's actually being said, because what's being said is a lot more shocking than anything that's being shared. Look, we're living in very, very interesting times, certainly, and the next decade or so is going to be even more interesting. You're going to see tension increase, right? It says that
that's
something I've gotten to observe in my my short stint on this.
Decade.
On this
no, we got no decade, Seth. You think these people can live
15 years, 10 to 15 years until things get real interesting.
Seth, the internet is now about 20 years old. It's in its young manhood. It's not even a juvenile anymore. Do you think they can let it go for another till the internet's 30 years old? At 20 years old, the internet's already
35. Yeah, I'd say so. In order for certain things to happen, this or something very like unto this has to exist.
They got singularity, the high tech, the vaccinations that they can put the chip in you, the chemtrails.
Yeah, no. I understand. I comprehend all of that, man. And you know what? I'm just not worried because I know that they don't know anything. They're working on just as poor information as you are, and I am, for that matter. I'm not trying to be insulting or anything like that. That's not my intent. I'm just saying, man, that you don't give them so much power. They've got enough of it. Like they're swinging blind just as much as anybody else is, and the fact that everything is still operating in the manner in which it is, yes, is when you take a large view of things, yeah, it's freaking amazing. I can't believe the whole place hasn't just exploded yet, or the Earth hasn't just shook us off of it. But I mean, if we're talking, Scripture, it talks about in the time of Noah, right? Like in the time of Noah. So that means that if we're living in similar times as that, as a lot of people purport, that at that time there was like 7+ billion people on the face of the planet, right? Do you think? I mean, we think that we're like all freaking all of this technology and everything. That's just miniaturization of everything. Yeah, it's convenient. Convenience is awesome. And I enjoy the convenience of what we call modern day life, but I don't think that it's anything that hasn't been here before. Like we're living in interesting times, and they're going to increase in their interest, specifically for those who are watching what's going on and trying to keep abreast of it. But it's not going to be reported widespread until the point where it's almost pointless, and everyone's going to be like, yeah, that makes complete sense. So, I don't know. It's just the Earth isn't flat. It's a sphere. It's a perfect shape, just as most of the celestial bodies that we can observe are. I think that was the point of me calling in. When I called in, you were going on about.
Yeah, well, you gotta just start studying. It's like you say, it's at your fingertips. Just go to these flat
videos about it, actually, while we've been talking, even.
Right, just go to all these flat Earth people, and they can do everything from when a sun's set, how the light should act if the sun's 93 million miles away, to why would a magnifying glass, if the sun is not this hot thing that heats the Earth, it's 90 million miles away, and it's the spin of the Earth which creates the heat that we have on the planet. Why is it? You can take a little magnifying glass and put it to the ground, turn a leaf on fire. If that ball is not closer than you think, these are all lies. These are all lies.
I agree, and I'd say that's just one more of them. I'm not going to come out and be like, well, NASA is telling you the truth or anything like that, because I don't think anybody's telling you the truth.
No,
But
that's actually the truth.
observation is important, especially if we're going to have a conversation about knowledge or science. And when I say that, I mean knowledge. I don't mean the religion of the white coats. So it's just like, and aside from all of that, I'm of the opinion that it's a good idea to go, okay, so what's it matter? Like, does it only matter because it's just one more example of how everyone is being lied to? Because everyone wants to be lied to. People do not want to be told the truth. They don't. They don't want that. It's going to change. I think that people are going to want to be told the truth, but right now, that's not the case. If that was the case, then you and I could have a conversation like this in the afternoon, broadcast on radio, right? Not in the wee hours of the morning. Just as an example, that's not the only example, and honestly, not even a very good one.
Well, no, Seth, listen. I already know what you're saying is true. I mean, that's one of the reasons I'm not on the radio anymore, is that not only did I get rejected by everybody, but the people who did listen, they don't want to hear it. They just don't want to hear it, Seth. And
it's not even that they don't want to, man. I think at this point they can't. I think it's censorship. It's eyes to hear and ears to see, man. If they don't have eyes to hear and ears to see, then they're not going to see you or me. That's just the way that it is.
Right, and so I just wasn't able to, even though I wanted to, continue. It was just like, it was one of those things. Just one of those things that I just learned how to take in stride. But you're right. People basically, whether because they're being chemtrailed or fluoridated, they just don't want to hear. They just want to go to work.
That suggests that it's man that's responsible, and I don't think so. I really don't. I mean, each and every one of us is responsible for the choices that we make. I'm not trying to take away all responsibility from anyone, but what's going on right now and what's being perpetrated on the masses of this planet, I don't think they have any control over. That's my own personal observation. I could be wrong. I'm not a scientist. Scientists, the reason that I like talking actually to someone who thinks of themselves as a philosopher as opposed to someone who thinks of themselves as a scientist is because philosophers not only understand and comprehend the possibility that they're wrong, but if they're a philosopher, they probably know that they are wrong, and they don't know. That's important. In science, you run into a lot of, well, we know that it's like this, and we don't. We don't know anything. It's the blind leading the blind. Jargon is very important. If you're gonna sound smart, people, you got to learn the jargon, and you can use words like quantum and things like that, which just means numbered or quantified. That's what quantum means. So when you hear quantum physics, you can think, okay, math and physics, right? Quantum physics. Quantum, anything else, I hear a lot of it. I kind of got onto a guy a few days ago I was trying to get him to explain what he meant using the words that he was and the way that he was, because what he meant was nothing at all. But you can sound really smart and use a lot of words and say absolutely nothing at all. So, know what you're saying and mean what you're saying, and you can't do either of those things without the other. You can't say what you mean without knowing, what you're saying and what it means. So, and I know colloquial but you know what I'm saying. I'm like, yeah, I do know what you're saying, and that's the whole point that I'm trying to make, is that what you're saying is this and it's wrong. So there's that. And not you in particular, hijacker, just the world at large, as they say.
Yeah, well, just the meaning when somebody says, word. Just encourage you to read, Jesus' red letter edition in the Gospels.
In the last couple of months, I've read through all of the scriptures. and most of it a few times, actually. I go back through. I listen to it, actually, being read to me, audiobooks, while I'm working, because that's what I do. I work for, what they call a living. So, but I have the ability to listen to things. And so I'm relatively familiar with some of it. I can't quote you scripture and verse because I don't do it like that. I think that scripture and verse is distracting. I read them, as books to be what's said in context. And then in order to understand the context in which things are said, I try my best to at least have a basic comprehension of the languages in which they were recorded. Because when you have that and you realize that, just as an example, in the first verse of what they call the Bible, which comes from the word biblio, which just means little book. And it's a whole bunch of little books. The term actually comes from the Greek isle biblos, which they created paper, I think. They had an export of paper, small books, something like that. But just the first verse, man, the first verse of the Bible in the Hebrew or the Babylonian, whatever you'd like to call it, that we have easily available to us, like I said, the internet at your fingertips. 7 words, okay? 7 words in that verse. In the English, the King James Version, there are 10 words, okay? 2 of the words that are there originally in the Hebrew are not translated. Not only are they not translated in the first verse, but that word, which is repeated twice, eighth and vaith, which just means and eighth, faith, occur more than 6,000 times in the Old Testament, and not one single time is it translated into English. Word forming element not used in English, whatever. Eighth. That's the word, man. It's the aleph and the tav. Eighth is aleph and tav, the first and the last letters of the Greek aleph bet, where we get alphabet from. Aleph and bet, aleph, bet, gimel, etc. So just starting there, hopefully someone like yourself who has studied such things and likes to study such things and finds, that there is some value in looking at what is written, what is preserved, you should be able to see just in the first verse, just the first verse, it's Bereshit bara Elohim et shamayim ve'teretz. In English, there's 10 words there, and 2 of the words aren't even translated. So there are 5 words there that are not there in the original text. Yes, there are differences in the way that you and I communicate than spoken language back then because of the language and its usage. I think that it's important. I think the reason I can't tell you the reason. If I could tell you the reason, I probably wouldn't be here. I'd probably be doing something else more important. But I can tell you that if you're going to study it, knowing what is being said and the context in letting you know what is meant is important for accuracy. If you're just trying to make stuff up and go with what sounds good and what freaks people out and whatnot, that's fine. But if you actually look at what's written, you're going to be more successful even with freaking people out, because what is actually said will blow your mind. So that's why I put so much emphasis on words and such things. It's because it's important, not only in communicating with you and I and whoever happens to be listening out there, but it's important in anything. It's just like blueprints or building something. You have to have a common basis upon which you're basing the communication that you're using, whether it's empirical or metric. You have to have some idea of what's being said, and you can't be like, well, okay, yes, but here we're going to say it like this and it means this. That doesn't work, man. It doesn't work like that.
Right. Well,
that's not interpretation. That's a version. That's changing things.
Right, especially what we know now. We're getting down to how we know physics and atoms and the construct of the invisible becoming invisible.
Oh, that's just it, though, Hijacker. That's what's so awesome about all of it, is that this far into the game, quote unquote, is we don't know. It's all theory, like all of it.
No,
It's
what
all
I'm saying,
theory.
Seth. No, Seth. What I'm saying is that we go back to the Bible. In the beginning, and God spoke, and He said, "Let there be light." In other words, He spoke a word. We're finding out that everything, the smallest thing now, is made of data, so that it's almost like
Information. Absolutely, that's what energy is. It's information. What is the easiest way for you and I to share information with one another? A word, right? Or words, language, which is made up of words, right? So there you have the importance of the word, the Aleph and the Tav, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, right? Eighth. There you have your importance and your weight right there. And why I think it might be worthwhile to try and comprehend words. Over. Did I lose you?
No, there we go. I'm muted, Seth.
You're all right.
Yeah. So, well, let's see. We're rounding up. I did want to say for everybody out there, this is listener-supported Revolution Radio. This is late night with the Hijacker and Seth Michaels. And Seth, why don't you give a plug for your show real quick?
Oh, okay. All right, we'll give a plug for my show real quick. I broadcast his Second Foundation Wednesdays at, 4 a.m. Eastern Time, I believe. To 4 to 6 a.m. Eastern Time. We call the program the Second Foundation. Revolution Radio is completely and totally listener supported. So if you have the ability and the desire to help keep Revolution Radio on air and broadcasting, you can do so by going to freedomslips.com. That's FREEDOMSLIPS. Once again, and slightly faster, it's FREEDOMSLIPS.com. Follow the links there through to site support where you can donate using PayPal, debit card, credit card, check, money order. Every little bit helps, and we greatly appreciate it. I broadcast the Second Foundation, which is Wednesdays early in the morning. There you go. Back to you, Hijacker.
Okay, yeah. Excellent. Right, and so it is spring. If you do need seeds to plant a garden or whatever, Nighthawk does have a seed pack. 35,000 seeds, 54 different varieties of herbs and vegetables, non-GMO, heirloom, and Nighthawk's throwing in a 1 ounce silver bar, which is a good deal because the people in the know anticipate once we get this economic big bump in the road, and more people start to realize that this fiat currency is pretty much worthless. Some people are projecting silver to go up to like $250, $500.
There is recently been.
Go ahead.
I was going to say they've started selling fiat cars here.
Right. But anyway, silver has hit $50 like a year and a half ago. It did jump that much. So it shows you have the capability. So if you buy the C-Pack for $100 and get the 1 ounce silver bar, probably the seeds are going to probably be worth more than the damn silver bar. But the silver will jump up there. There's only so much of silver. It pretty much gets consumed every year in computers solar panels. I don't know why silver's not worth more money. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But anyways, go to freedomslips.com, and that's where you can do it. And then, you know, in order for me to get back on the air, I need an army of people. And I can't get sponsors. Nobody's going to sit around and listen to somebody who believes in reptilian human hybrids. So, you know, the way I can get back on the air is I need an army. People that will say, oh, yeah, I'll give $5 a month or $10 a month to the Jackers Club. I have no club. I have no PayPal.
If you changed your name from Hijacker to Salvation, then you would have an army.
Well, I ought to go by my One World Order High Council name, the Reality Changer. That's what Tone says I should do. Is I should evoke that, because that's what I'm actually known by when I do my work. You know, in that kind of level. Hijacker is just a radio name. But anyway,
I didn't think that's actually what your parents had named you. I assumed it was a moniker.
Oh yeah, you mean my Christian birth name? Right. Well, I don't give that out. I don't. You can keep the crazy, Seth.
Yeah, I put off a pheromone actually that attracts that. I've become convinced of. Crazy. It attracts crazy. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, so.
Oh, that's a spider. They can't live in the house.
Anyways, my point
is. It's dead now. I got it. Don't panic. Don't panic. I got it. It's okay.
Yeah, my point is, if you're inclined to donate and you want me more on the air, then really I'm going to need an army, folks, every month that will commit, so that basically what I'm doing on my little organic farm here, I can get other people to do, but I'm in no position to do that. But if you were to send Nighthawk $5-10 saying, look, try to get the Jacker on more, then maybe if those numbers build and I get a small army, then basically you grease the wheel and Nighthawk says, wow, you know, this guy's got 1,000 people a month willing to give $10. We got to get him on the air, and then it's got to be a deal. But that's the only way I can do it now. I'm overwhelmed. I fought to exhaustion, so that's my deal. But okay, Seth. So where are we at? What time is it?
It is currently almost 5:30 in the a.m. if you're in the Midwest, where I find myself.
Okay, so I'm going to sign off. It's almost 5:30, 3:30 my time. If you want to take over, Seth.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I appreciate the conversation. I do. But if you're ready to say bon voyage, farewell, shalom, all that good stuff, then I will do the same.
Yeah, well, that's where I'm at.